First of all, I pay homage to Triple J, and I pay homage to Bhanteji here, and dear listeners. Today, I would like to speak on the great qualities of the Buddha, as we have chanted in the chanting. There are 9 great qualities of the Buddha. The very first quality of the Buddha is Arahant. It has many definitions. So the very first definition of Arahanta is Ari plus Hang, which means one who destroys the enemies. The enemy is greed, hatred, and delusion. So one who has destroyed these 3 is called Arahanta. Ari means enemies. Enemies is, you can say, greed, hatred, and delusion. So the Buddha has totally eradicated these 3, greed, hatred, and delusions. Not only this, he also knows the dangers of these 3. That is why he seen the danger in these 3. That is why he eradicated these 3 through the meditation. The meditation we have practiced, the same meditation, Anapana meditation, and many more meditation he practiced. And as he was an extraordinary person, he accumulated many paramitas to become an enlightened being. Among all enlightened beings, he is the supreme, the enlightened being. That is why we called him Bhagava also. And this is the one quality of the Buddha who eradicated these 3 greed, these 3 defilements, greed, hatred, and delusion, is called Arahanta. And there are some more definitions, such as one who is remote and stay away from greed, hatred, and delusion. And there is another definition, like there is no sacred place for him to perform any unwholesome actions, any unwholesome deeds out of this greed, hatred, and delusion, because he destroyed these tendencies. That is why there is no sacred place to perform any unwholesome deeds for him. So whatever he is in personal, like in sacred place, he is also the same person in public, in open. In openly, he is like that only, similar, same as he is in sacred place or he's out with the public. He is the same. He remains same, without hatred, without delusion, without greed. And Arahant also conveys a meaning, one who is worthy of respect, worthy of offerings, because he destroyed these 3 things. That is why he is worthy of respect, worthy of veneration, worthy of offerings. So this is the very first quality that we have chanted, Arahant, in Buddha Vandana. Then there is second quality called Samma Sambuddha. Samma Sambuddho. Samma means rightly. Sam means self. Buddha means awakened. Without any guidance or without any teacher, he himself rightly become an enlightened person. That is why he called a Samyak Sambuddha. He himself, without any guidance, without any teacher, he became an enlightened person. That is why he called Samyak Sambuddha. When he was Siddhartha, when he was a Bodhisattva, seeking for guidance and seeking for enlightenment, he trained under some teachers, but they were not able to take him to the enlightenment. That is why he stay away from those teachers, and he himself went forth and searched for this enlightenment. And he sat under the Bodhi tree and he reflected that at the very young age, he attained jhanas when he was just very old, very young. At the very young age, he attained jhanas. He reflected all those experience, whatever happened in his childhood. And then he slowly begins remember his past lives, and he saw all his past lives and his parents' past life. And then he slowly started this meditation on Anapanasati meditation, and he developed both Samatha and Vipassana. This is how he gradually attained Samyak Sambodhi, and he realized this Samyak Sambodhi with the help of what we called it in Pali, Yathabhuta Jnana. With this, by practicing this Yathabhuta Jnana, he became an enlightened being. This is what said in Dhammacakka Sutra. So what is this Yathabhuta Jnana? It is, we called it in English, the wisdom which sees things as they are. With the help of this wisdom, he becomes Samyak Sambuddha. And he realized these Four Noble Truths by his own effort. The noble truth of suffering, the noble truth of cause of suffering, the noble truth of cessation of suffering, the noble truth of leading to the suggestion of the path which lead to end the suffering. So he realized these Four Noble Truths by himself, without taught by any teacher, any guidance. These Four Noble Truths were not there before the Buddha. When he became Buddha, when he realized these Four Noble Truths, then he pronounced these Four Noble Truths to the world. That is why he called Samyak Sambuddha. Then there is this third qualities of the Buddha. We called it in Pali, Vijjacharana Sampanno, which means endowed with the knowledge and wisdom. So there are 8 specific knowledges. As the very first one is the insight knowledge. Insight, we called it in Pali Vipassana knowledge. The second one is supernormal power of mind-made bodies, Manomaya Iddhi. He can create many bodies, 100 bodies, 1,000 bodies, many bodies he can create. So as you can read the suttas of the Buddha, where some of his disciples find some difficulties to meditate, and suddenly they saw the fire and they reflect, yes, if I practice Vipassana, if I practice meditation, all my fetters or defilements may burn as this fire burns trees and grass. Then the Buddha become aware of those thoughts, and he appeared. He sent his body, Mayomaya Iddhi, the body which is made by mind. He sent, and the Buddha advised there, "Oh Bhikkhu, you are in the right way. Your thinking is right. You practice in a similar way what you are thinking." So after taking this advice, that Bhikshu practiced accordingly, and he become enlightened. This is how the Buddha can create many form of his bodies. He can create many bodies. So this is the second knowledge of the Buddha. Then there is this third knowledge, the knowledge of recollecting past existence. He can see many past lives, not only his own, but he can see his parents' past lives. And it is said that when he was about to attain supreme Bodhi, supreme enlightenment, before attaining enlightenment, he could see all our past lives as well. He can see every living beings. And he also see the past life of all beings before attaining enlightenment also. He can see. So this is the third knowledge which Buddha possessed, and he can see many past lives of the people, of the beings in the entire universe. Then there is this fourth knowledge that is we called Dibba Chakshu, the knowledge of divine eyes. He can see divine beings. We are not able to see divine beings, but the Buddha can see divine beings. Even the disciples of the Buddha who have practiced meditation, who have trained according to the Buddha's teachings and committed to the practice of meditation, and those who have practiced the meditation as suggested by the Buddha, they can also see the divine beings. But here the Buddha's specific knowledge, the Buddha also possesses this knowledge. Buddha also have this knowledge because he is the teacher. So he already had this knowledge. That is why he has given the method to us to practice the method, and we can also have that similar knowledge. But as the Buddha is the teacher, so he had to attend first, and before that there were also before the Buddha there were also these knowledges before the Buddha also, such as the teacher of Siddhodana, Asita. He had also this knowledge as well. But when the Buddha appears, the doors of psychic powers, the doors of Dibba Chakshus or doors of Dibba Sotas are open for everyone. They are like systematic, and they are taught by the Buddha to everyone. Whoever desiring to attain these psychic powers, the Buddha taught them. So the doors are open for everyone. But before the Buddha, there were only for the Rishi Munis who were in the forest and practice this meditation. They only possess these knowledges. Like common people cannot have these knowledges. Only the Buddha, only the Rishi Munis during the time of the Buddha can have. But when the Buddha arrived, the doors of these knowledges are open for everyone. So this Dibba Chakhu was also possessed by the Buddha. This is the fourth knowledge. And fifth knowledge is called Dibba Sota. They can hear the divine sound. They can communicate with the divine beings. As you can read in the life of the Buddha, the Brahma who approached to the Buddha and requested to the Buddha to preach Dhamma to the common people. Even in fact, in many suttas, the divine beings approached to the Buddha, and they have come with many questions, and they have asked many questions to the Buddha. Some of the devas approach to the Buddha for the advice, for spiritual advice, how they can achieve enlightenment. So the Buddha can communicate. He can hear the sound of devas, the divine beings, Brahmas, and he know about them very well. So Dibba Sota is the fifth knowledge of the Buddha. Then there is sixth knowledge, the knowledge of reading other living beings' mind. The Buddha can read the mind of people, mind of beings, and temperament of beings, tendencies of the beings. So he can read everything, not just mind. The temperament also he can read. Accordingly, he will give the method. So there were many monks who have different tendencies, different temperament. According to the temperament, the Buddha gave meditation, such as like, if anyone have strong anger, then Buddha suggests them some like Maitri meditation. He would suggest Maitri meditation. And the people who have great faith, then the Buddha would suggest Buddhanusati meditation, reflect meditation on Buddha's great qualities, what we are discussing right now, and who have temperament of intelligent. For them, the Buddha gave meditation on four element, that is earth element, water element, fire element, and air, wind element. So the Buddha can read other minds as well as the temperament of the beings. So this is the sixth knowledge. The seventh knowledge is supernormal power of diving into the earth. Like he can dive into the earth, he can walk in the air, he can swim in the earth. Like such power Buddha have. This is the seventh knowledge. And eighth knowledge is destructions of tents, asavas, cankers. The Buddha is free from asavas, canker, impurities of the mind. If we say in simple language, impurities of the mind. He is free from impurities of the mind. We call it in Pali asavas. And there are four asavas: kama asava, bhava asava, ditthya asava, vijja asavas. So the Buddha, 8 knowledges of the Buddha, vijja charana sampanna. We are discussing about vijja charana sampanna. So these are the 8 knowledges of the Buddha. Of course, there are many more knowledges, but these are the specific knowledges which Buddha repeatedly introduced himself, his qualities. And there are 15 conducts, charana. The Buddha is embodiment of wisdom and virtues. So we are discussing on this quality. So there are these 15 virtues, 15 conducts. The very first one is the Buddha observed precepts. This is the very first. Second, guarding the sense doors. He's guarding on 6 doors. That is a door of eye, door of air, door of nose, door of tongue, door of body, and door of mind. He guard these 6. He protect these 6 senses, 6 doors. Then third conduct is moderating in food. He is very, very moderate in eating. As it is said, he used to eat once in a day. And he also taught what is the benefit of eating less or moderating in eating. Moderate in eating, what is the benefit? He said in one of the sutta, that is Kitagiri Sutta, the benefits of eating, like eating once or eating in moderate. He taught many benefits. Even, in fact, he said one can attain enlightenment when he eat in moderate. Specifically, he said to the monks, if monks are not eating in the night, what are the advantages? He said, you will have less, you will be free from disease. You will not have disease. If you don't have disease, you can meditate without any pain, without any sickness. Such the discourse the Buddha taught regarding this moderating. So Buddha himself was very moderate in eating. So this is the third conduct. The fourth one is devotion to the wakefulness. He was sativanta. He always remained mindful. The fifth one is he had great faith. Faith can be said like he has great faith, we can say, towards Dhamma, towards his practice, because there is no one to whom he should have faith. He is the supreme. According to the Buddha, he is the supreme, because he destroyed these kilesas, these impurities of the mind, lobha, dosa, moha. That is why he is the supreme living beings in this samsara. That is why there is no other beings to whom he should pay respect, to whom he should have faith. So, as the Buddha said, his teacher is dharma, dhamma. Whatever he practice is only only that is his teacher. So the Buddha was endowed with the faith, or as the Buddha said, the faith towards freedom. One should have faith for his liberation. One should have faith to have great effort to eradicate greed, delusion, and hatred. One should have faith to listen Dhamma. So these are the qualities, as the Buddha said in the suttas, for the people, for the practitioners. But here we can understand the Buddha had great faith in his practice, for his own practice. He had great faith for the Dhamma. So the sixth quality is, as it is said, Jagara. In the fourth, I would like to make a correction. Wakefulness can be translated as Jagarata Sila. Always be wakefulness. So that is the fourth quality. And fifth was the Buddha endowed with a great faith for his practice and great faith for the Dhamma. The sixth one is endowed with the mindfulness, as already we have said, Jagrita Sila. That is the fourth quality, fourth conduct of the Buddha. Now again, it is said in the sixth conduct of the Buddha as mindfulness. So mindfulness is like mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the Vedana, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of mind, mindfulness of mental objects, mind object. So these are the four Satipatthanas. So Buddha is always mindfulness, always mindful on these four foundation, four object of mindfulness. That is body, feelings, mind, and mental object. So Buddha is always mindful on these four. So this is the sixth conduct of the Buddha. The seventh one is Buddha endowed with the moral shame. Moral shame. This is the seventh. And eighth one is Buddha endowed with the moral fear. Moral fear. The ninth one, the Buddha endowed with the Dhamma knowledge, Sutta, Dhamma knowledge. That is, Buddha endowed with like what to touch, what to teach. As one of the Sutta, Buddha said, he had lot of knowledge, but what is useful, what is beneficial for the people, I teach them. So the beneficial is Four Noble Truths. So Buddha endowed with the Dhamma knowledge. This is the ninth. And 10th is Buddha endowed with the diligent. This is the 10th knowledge, 10th conduct. The 11th one is Buddha endowed with the Panya, wisdom. The wisdom of the Buddha can be like, it is very mild, very deep knowledge of the Buddha, as he had deeper knowledge, deeper wisdom than his own, than his enlightened disciples. So he had great skill in teaching Four Noble Truths, in teaching Noble Eightfold Path, and many other things. So the knowledge of the Buddha is, wisdom of the Buddha is very deep, very deep. So this is the 11th. And 12th is the Buddha endowed with the first jhana, second jhana, and second jhana is the 12th, is the 13th, and he endowed third jhana, and he endowed with the fourth jhana. These jhanas are like deeper level of samadhis, deeper level of samadhis. By attending this, a person can also develop like psychic powers or other things. But Buddha endowed this fourth jhana, Pathama jhana, first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. So altogether, these are the 15th, 15 conduct, 15 charita of the Buddha, conduct, moral conduct of the Buddha. So as we discuss on Vijja Charana Sampanna, the Buddha endowed with the wisdom and character, or character, charita, behavior. So there are 8 knowledge, Vijja, 8 knowledges, and 15 charitas. We called it Charana, character. So there is this fourth knowledge, fourth quality of the Buddha called Sugato. Sugato, which means one who the manner of going is good. So the Buddha came like very peacefully, and he went into the Parinibbana very peacefully with a good manner. And he went a place where there is no attachment, no craving. That is why he called Sugato. And there is different meaning for Sugato is one who speak well for the beneficial of the world. So Buddha gave his teachings and for the beneficial of many, as he said, Charata Bhikkhavi Charikang Bahujana Hitaya Bahujana Sukhaya. He said, O monks, go forth for the beneficial of many, for the beneficial of human, for the beneficial of devas. So he taught this Dhamma for the beneficial of people. That is why he also called Sugato. So this is also the meaning, stand for the Sugato. And there is this Lokavidu. Lokavidu means the knower of the world. There are these, according to Buddhism, there are these 31 plans of existence. He knows all those existence, and also he knows the beings there in this existence, and he knows the nature of those beings. He also knows the character of those beings. He also knows the behavior of those beings. That is why he called Lokavidu. Then there is sixth quality of the Buddha is Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarathi, incomparable leader of individual to be tamed. He can tame a person, let them be a human being or any divine being. He can tame both. Who is able to be tamed? So he can tame, like the human beings during the time of the Buddha. He taught the teaching on Four Noble Truths, on Noble Eightfold Path. And the people, when they come into the light, they feel, yes, I'm okay here in this light. I can see very clearly. So they themselves become tame. Even the Devas, when they were reached to the Buddha and heard, and they asked questions to the Buddha, they also feel, yes, they are in the light. They can see everything very clearly. They were in the delusion. They were in the illusion before approaching to the Buddha. When they approach to the Buddha, when they ask the questions, they become free from impurities. And now they are in the light. So they themselves become very tame. Now the Buddha gave teaching very systematically by reading their mind, by reading their temperament, by knowing the nature of their mind and what method is proper for their development. He gave very systematically. So he's expert. He's incomparable in taming both humans and divine beings. So this is the sixth quality of the Buddha. The seventh quality of the Buddha is Sattha Deva Manusanam, teacher of man and devas. He is the teacher of both human beings and divine beings. As you can see, the monks are definitely the students of the Buddha, and the devotees, whoever practices teaching and instructions of the Buddha, they are also the students of the Buddha. They take the Buddha as their teacher. Even the divine beings also called Buddha as teacher. Many devas, one of the deva, in one of the sutta, the Buddha was preaching. Yes, there are many suttas. You can take one of the sutta, Mangala Sutta. The divine being approached to the Buddha, a deva, and he asked a question regarding what is the blessings. Then the Buddha given a talk on blessings, the great blessings. So the Buddha was also a teacher for divine beings, devas, brahmas. So this is the seventh quality, and the eighth quality is Buddho. The Buddha means the one who is awakened and one who is able to lead for enlightenment. He is the enlightener also. Enlightener here, as the Buddha said, the Buddha can point out the path. He can show the path, but you have to walk. So whoever walk the path of the Buddha, they definitely will attain enlightenment. So the Buddha also called Buddha. The Buddha is eighth quality. The ninth quality of the Buddha is Bhagava. So Bhagava is a very profound quality of the Buddha. It has many definitions, but I would like to say a very few. Bhagava means an extraordinary among his disciples. So there were many Arhantas. There will be many Arhantas. There were many Arhantas in the time of the Buddha. The Arhantas are also free from impurities of the mind, hatred, greed, delusion. Buddha also free from these three. But what are the similarities and what are the differences? This quality is the big difference. So Bhagava means he is an extraordinary among his disciples. He got sharp knowledge on Four Noble Truths. If we compare to his disciples, he has the sharp knowledge on Four Noble Truths. He can teach Four Noble Truths in different ways according to the temperaments. He got highest reputation among his disciples. The disciples known by the Buddha, disciples of the Buddha. That is why he is Bhagava. And he got higher knowledges, higher power than his disciples. That is why he is called Bhagava. And for example, there were disciples of the Buddha who were also teaching meditation. They were already Arhantas, great Arhantas. But when he gave meditation, they could not see any development of mind. They cannot. Sometimes they fail to lead enlightenment. But Buddha give a proper method, proper instructions to make him enlightened. That is why Buddha called Bhagava. This is one of the qualities of the Buddha. This quality is the ninth quality of the Buddha. So we have different definitions. We know Buddha according our own views. Oh, Buddha is that, Buddha is like that. But what Buddha introduced himself, Buddha introduced himself by Tathagata, by Samma Sambuddha. And these are the 9 qualities of the Buddha. So I hope you understand these 9 qualities of the Buddha. And these qualities are also subject of meditation. On practicing this, a person can enjoy calmness, peacefulness of mind, and it also lead to reality. When your mind become calm and quiet, you can also experience anicca, anatta, dukkha. It is also become a condition for the wisdom, for experience the ultimate realities. Ultimate realities, when I say, as it is said by the Buddha, it is said like ultimate realities is rupa, chitta, mind, chetasikas, and nibbana. So when mind become calm, you can see the mind, you can see the materiality, the sound, the taste. You can also see what arises depending on sound, what arises, liking arises, disliking arises. You can also let them go very easily without holding on those feelings. So this meditation also lead for calmness, and as well as it become a condition for wisdom. So this is these are the qualities of the Buddha, and the qualities of the Buddha are subject of meditation. So with this talk, I would like to conclude here with the blessings. May you all be happy and peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yeah, so today we got the profile of Buddha. Like we put Facebook profile. So this is the profile of Buddha from Buddha's own mouth. Okay? As we see in the scripture. So it's also important for us to get an idea of Buddha, who is really a Buddha. And Buddhahood is not just a personal thing of Gautama Buddha, but it is a state of mind, an achievement that is something which can be achieved by anyone who really wishes to be Buddha. Right? It's not something his as such, right? So what just now Venerable has spoken to you is about the qualities of the Buddha as a state of mind, not just personally about it. It's not like Buddha is just boasting that, oh, I'm like this, I'm like that, it's not like that. It's about what exactly is the state of Buddha. And as he says that he's not the first Buddha and he's not the last Buddha. Right? He is not, because he, in fact, spoke about 28, 27 prior to him. He actually given the names of those Buddhas who were prior to him. In fact, he also mentioned about, predicted about, or you can say specifically he said about the future Buddhas. And the immediate future Buddha is Maitreya Buddha, or in Sanskrit we say Maitreya Buddha. Maitreya means somebody who is loving, right? Loving. So that way we understand, right? So, and as you most of you may be aware, but I will still say that he was not born as Buddha. We must all understand that he was not born as a Buddha. It's not like he was from the birth itself, he was a Buddha. Right? He became Buddha at the age of 35. Right? But then, of course, it's not just the story of only one life. It's a story of long past, period, which is in billions, not just a few thousand. It's in billions. So he was actually preparing himself to become a Buddha in order to help people become enlightened, become peaceful, become joyful, right? So it is something that he just wanted, right? He felt like, like even if you look at among people, different people choose to become, different in the sense to choose different role in the society. Somebody wants to be a doctor, somebody wants to be an engineer, artist, dancer, and whatnot. And some people wants to be entrepreneur, become CEO, become founder. These days, we see a lot of happening. So everybody has different choice, right? So in the same way, Buddha also had this choice to become a Buddha, in one of his life. So it is said that in one of his past life, he actually saw a living Buddha by the name Dipankara. Just like him, there was this Buddha by the name Dipankara. And seeing him gave him a tremendous sort of inspiration to also become a Buddha. So it was a sheer inspiration that propelled him to take up the mission of becoming a Buddha. Though it is not mandatory for him to become a Buddha, it was entirely his choice. If he wishes, he could have become an enlightened Arahant under that particular Buddha, Dipankara Buddha. But he just chose to become a Buddha, right? And when you say becoming a Buddha, it requires a lot of practice, the practice of 10 paramitas, 10 parami, which means the 10 perfections, 10 spiritual qualities. And those qualities should be fulfilled in the highest possible way. Like you have to practice that particular quality to its highest possible, right? One of the things that comes to my mind is about one of the 10 perfection is patience, and like he practiced patience to the highest possible degree. Like somebody was literally, trying to kill him, in a very brutal manner. But then he has to, and at that point, if possible, of course, he should, he has to save himself. But let's say there are situations where you just can't do anything, because the one who was trying to harm him was none other than a king, a very ferocious king. Now, what you can do when you are being targeted by a very ferocious, powerful king, you can't do anything. Of course, we have stories where Buddha also he actually did self-defense, trying to support himself in under different, protect himself under different difficulties. But then there are cases where you just can't do anything. You just can't. You have no option. So in that kind of situation, he would practice patience, which means just letting go, just not allowing yourself to be angry, you know. So he did that, in one of his past lives. So it's a very long story that runs into many billions of years, maybe, and then he becomes a Buddha. So now what today this Venerable spoke is about that 9 qualities of a Buddha, and these quality will be same to anyone who will become Buddha in future, right? So that's how we understand him as a today, as Bhante clearly mentioned about him being an enlightened person, Buddha, awakened person. So which means that he is somebody who is totally free from all the suffering, all the suffering. So we do have suffering, all of us do go through different level of suffering, different level of difficulties. So in short, whatever Bhante has said, but I would say in short that when you say somebody is enlightened, he is, and of course there are different stages of enlightenment, but then speaking of the final stage of enlightenment, it means that you are now no more pushed and pulled. This is the word I use, pushed and pulled by the ups and downs of life. That's the shortest way I can explain you about enlightenment, right? So imagine you have this state of mind where it is not like a you being indifferent to the experiences. You're not like indifferent, because there are cases where you will be indifferent, but it is a state of mind where you are really not affected. It is, and at the same time you're totally happy. It's not. Sometimes we try to ignore some of the experiences, but then we are not really happy. We just ignore because we have no other option. But then this state of enlightenment is something where you're really not affected, and then you are still peaceful, totally stable, to the experiences of life. So that is that is enlightenment. So enlightenment is something that we all ultimately need. If we don't aspire for enlightenment, then what do we aspire? What do we aspire for? Right? We may have a different aspiration in our life with regard to profession, with regard to some of the say some of the obligations in our life, right? Professional obligation, family obligation, societal obligations. A lot of things we do out of obligations. There are certain things we do because just we like it, right? We just do because we like it. But then we are never reaching to a point where we can say that I am fulfilled. I'm totally fulfilled. I am, this state of mind where it is totally stable, peaceful, and totally happy. In short, very simple words, you can say totally happy. You're like happy forever. That is the enlightenment. But till we achieve that, our happiness will be ups and down, it will be ups and down all the time. That's the reality. So that way, I would say enlightenment. And because if you understand enlightenment, then we understand Buddha, because he is an enlightened, he was an enlightened individual, and those disciples who also followed him and who also sort of realized enlightenment for themselves. Okay. So that's how we understand Buddha. And knowing Buddha means knowing Dharma, and knowing Dharma means knowing Buddha, because There is no that state of mind. It's just that the individual has actually understood Dhamma, the teaching, the path, the happiness. And that, so because we have somebody who really achieved that state of enlightenment, because if you don't have anybody who has actually achieved it, then it's like a abstract thing, right? It is something like an idealistic kind of a situation where we really don't know, right? But in the case of Buddha, you can actually we have somebody who actually achieved that state of enlightenment, and then we have his story, the way he taught, to people. You can see in the sutra the way he taught, the way he communicated, and post Buddha, becoming a Buddha till he passed away, you will see, you will understand whether he is actually enlightened or not. Because when you may claim yourself to be somebody, but then in when it is in a practical given situation, the way you respond to different situation, you will actually know who you really are, right? Who you really are. So that is why it is also interesting for us to actually read about his life, the way he sort of interacted with people, the way he had dialogue with people from all walks of life, all different religion that we had in India, all different from people from different strata of society, different genders, women, men, both, children, old people, everyone. So I think you can also read this story of Dhammapada story, and then it's full of stories of Buddha. So through that story, also we get an idea of whether he was really enlightened or not, right? So that also helps us to sort of verify, to sort of become confident about Buddha as an individual. Was he really enlightened? Because that's something we need to understand. Because otherwise, how can we follow somebody whom we really don't know? Right? We really have to know that individual first, or of course try to understand the individual even more, so that we can follow, so that we know where we are going, what we are subscribing for. We know that. Okay, so this is the sort of today's teaching that Mante gave on Buddha, the topic of Buddha. So I hope all of you have got some understanding and clarity about Buddha. And of course, there are so many other other things that are unending, in the sense of different notion about Buddha that you all might be having, that we hear. But then today, it's a small attempt to just unfold the Buddha, to sort of understand Buddha, because you are in a Buddha Vihara. So it's good to know who this Buddha is, try to understand, because maybe you are coming here, but you are following Buddha, but you don't know really who the Buddha is. Then you are maybe going on the wrong way, right? In fact, Buddha once very specifically spoke to the monks, saying that you must investigate me. That's what Buddha said. You must inquire me. You must be critical about me. That's very specifically he spoke. In fact, one discourse was dedicated for that, to just critically look at Buddha. We should not shy away from critically, dissecting Buddha. You can ask any question. You can just, be brutally sort of critical about Buddha. Of course, with a intention of knowing Buddha, not just trying to make some unnecessary argument, but to really understand the Buddha, in whatever way possible. Okay, so we do that today. So when we know Buddha, we are also being confident about our own life, because somehow, Buddha is affecting our life as well, because as you follow Buddha, it affects your life. So it's also important. Yeah, one of the benefit of reading some of the stories of Buddha is Buddha as an individual in a given situation, like as somebody, what he would do in a day-to-day life, like what he would do, what he is an individual, not because we generally look at Buddha as somebody who's very much high up in the sky. But then if you read some of the story, you also see the human side of Buddha, human, but an enlightened human. So, but still he has to deal with some of the practicalities, right? Doing your laundry, doing your this, that kind of situation, where very day-to-day smaller experiences of our life, smaller situations in our life. Okay, so I would suggest you to read these Dhammapada stories. In English, it is available. Recently, we did in Telugu. Just few months, just I think a few weeks ago, it got released in Telugu also. Now it is available. So that also helps you to understand Buddha as if you are meeting Buddha. And in a very humble way, right? So not in a very in a very bigger kind of way. Okay, so that you can do to understand Buddha. So now with this, we come to the conclusion of today's evening gathering, and keep coming every Sunday as much as you can. If not for every Sunday, once in a month Sunday, please do come, bring your people, and it will be helpful. And those who are new here, I would like to tell that this is every Sunday gathering we have. So please do come, read some books. We have a bookstore near the main gate. Read some of those books. We also have every evening 6 o'clock group chanting and meditation. Sunday is a special one. We have both guided meditation as well as teaching. But other Sunday we also have. Okay, so yeah, we conclude here. We thank all of you for coming and joining. We wish all of you good health, happiness, peace, and joy. And we also now share. We also wish the same for all the beings. So we do a world peace, small world peace wish prayer. Sukhe bhave ane dukho ahane cham ita chame sukhe honto majjata jatave vino imane gamam kentane tu sukhe sada tatu cham jesu Pale sujantano sadhu sadhu sadhu